Hey, good morning. Got another week of this. Here we go. It is Monday, May 18th, and we're ready to go with another fake plant-side chat out here in the church foyer. Chris here with some thoughts. When I opened up my Bible this morning, I found a note that I had written 2 months ago for the first video that we recorded, or one of the first videos I recorded that week. And I thought, oh, that's cute. We were so hopeful then. But I think this is almost over. I think, don't quote me on this, but I mean, maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel. Or maybe the tunnel is a cleverly painted tunnel picture on a brick wall that we're running headlong into. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. But maybe, hopefully, we're almost done. And we can at least start seeing each other in person again instead of that little green light that I stare into. Yeah, I've stared at it way too long already. So I started thinking as I read that note, that initial note, as I got a little distracted. That note, we talked about quitting. Don't quit those things that we want to exist when all of this is over. Don't stop doing the things that we want to exist when all of this is done. So I ask, have you quit? Is there something that used to be so important, but now it's diminished a little bit? Maybe it's not. I hope for you it's not something like bathing, or because that'd be weird. But other things that we used to think were just so essential to us, to our identity, to what we just knew was important. That because things have been recentered and refocused in our lives around us, probably forcefully, not something we would volunteer for, what has risen to the top? What has risen to the top through all of the trials and through the mess that we've been through? So I got to thinking about that and how maybe we have quit some of the right things. And maybe we haven't quit some of the right things. But maybe we need a reminder of what those right things are. So I went to Paul, and this is actually a part of our upcoming sermon this next Sunday on peace, as we continue with the fruit of the Spirit. But I got to thinking here about what Paul wrote in Philippians 4. And this is verse 8. And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. It's funny that Paul says one final thing because it's never going to be just one final thing. There's going to be a bunch of things. Kind of like me. One final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true, what is honorable, what is right, and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Keep putting into practice all you've learned and received from me, Paul. Everything you've heard from me, Paul, and saw Paul doing. Then the God of peace will be with you. I think about this idea of peace as I'm shaping my thoughts on that and what's to come in our sermon. Are we at peace? Has the God of peace found us? Or have we become unsettled? Have we become ready to join the protests and wave the silly signs, I need a haircut now? Are we unsettled? Or do we have peace? Has the God of peace joined us? And so, if not, if we've become unsettled and continue to do so the longer and longer this happens, what then are we thinking about? What then has occupied our minds and our hearts and our spirits? Has it been what's true and honorable and pure and admirable and excellent? Or has it been what's disrupted? What we think we're entitled to? What we want? What we expect? Because, as we talked about in our last sermon, seeking happiness or those human ideas of contentment will never, ever be fulfilled. It's a relentless pursuit. And so, just hopefully an encouraging challenge today to adjust what we're thinking about. to adjust those things that we haven't quit. Remember what Paul says, don't quit doing these things. Thinking about what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Don't quit. Those are the things that have to rise to the top when we're challenged, when we're pressed, when we're pushed. Paul talks about this idea of what he's thinking about in the example that he's given. In the example he's giving us right now, because he's telling us these things in prison, and he's learned what it is to be content. Are we content? And more importantly, this is a big question for today. Are these things that we're thinking, that we're not going to quit thinking about, that are pure and admirable and lovely and kind and excellent and worthy of praise, are those the things that we are going to run back to when doors finally open? Or are we going to want to run back to the routine, to the same thing, to the lack of impact in our community? Are we going to run back to the way things were, or to the highest level of things that are worthy of praise? May the God of peace be with you. May the God of peace bring you comfort today, and may the God of peace set our minds on those amazing things. See you later.